What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon, the Six Nations, just around the corner. Only a couple of days away. The team announcements are already starting. This one's going to be for France versus Ireland, and that means, of course, we need to do a preview video checking out the teams that have been announced, who's some good picks, some bad picks, give some thoughts and opinions, and give some expectations on what we're hoping to get out of this game. And then, of course, we'll finish off with that all-important score prediction that I'll probably be miles off on because I tend to suck at them. But a lot of fun. If you enjoy this style of video, make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, all that good YouTube stuff. But France versus Ireland, what an opener. What an awesome game to get us started off with. Two massive teams, both teams missing key players, you know, whether it's retirement, whether it's moving over to sevens and the likes of Dupont and stuff, with also some new injuries that have come since that initial squad announcement a couple of weeks back. So two teams, you know, a little bit different than what I was expecting going into it. But we're going to dive in. Let's start out with France. France, the home team for this one. And yeah, missing some key players, of course. No Dupont, no Romain Ntamack, no Thibaut Flamand in that lock department, who I think has been a solid player for them. And some changes to this team, which I also wasn't expecting. So starting off in this front row, Silrubai, Mauvaca, and Antonio. Now there's a solid front row. I've got to be honest, I was expecting Julien Marchand to be starting off in this one. He's on the bench, he is still there, but Mauvaca getting the start in this one in what for me is probably the biggest game of the Six Nations for both of these sides. You know, there's no disrespect to any of the other teams in it. I think this is the game that probably picks who's the winner. It's just a shame it's the first game of the tournament, and the fact that Mauvaca gets to start this game I think is a real symbol of what we got to see from him in that World Cup. You know, Julien Marchand going out so early in that World Cup with an injury, Mauvaca stepping up and I think played awesome throughout that entire World Cup. So the fact he gets to start this one, I'm sure Julien Marchand still coming off the back of that injury as well, probably played a role into it, but I'm glad that Mauvaca gets to start off. And as front rows go, we're looking forward to some big scrums in this game, right? So that's a solid front row to be starting us out with. In the lock department then, a name I'm going to absolutely butcher, Gabriel Gis, hopefully sort of on the line. Any French subscribers, drop down a better phonetic spelling for me. And Paul Willemse going in alongside him now. I'm looking forward to see the two Pauls playing next to each other. That's going to be fun to have a look at, but glad to see Paul Willemse back in the squad as well for a bit of leadership in that forward pack as well. And then in the back row, Francois Cross goes in alongside of Charles Olivon and Gregory Aldrit, the new captain, coming in. Looking forward to him. Been seeing a lot of different interviews with club level coaches and the international team as well, talking about their expectations from Gregory Aldrit as a captain and how much impact he does actually have on the team and leadership sort of behind the scenes. I'm really looking forward to see how he gets on. Of course, Charles Olivon, been captain before, was surprised to not see him get named as captain, but looking forward to see how they get on. 1 to 8, looking pretty solid, looking like a good team. I was a little bit worried about how France were going to get on. I've been hearing different rumours about different pieces of injuries and stuff going on, so glad to see they've still got a solid 1 through 8 in that forward pack. In the halfback partnership, Maxime Loukou going in alongside of Mathieu Jalibert. I believe these two lads are absolutely crushing it at club level, to be fair, so looking forward to see how they partner up for the international. Is it as strong as like Dupont and Ntamack? You know, maybe not. I know. I think a lot of people would probably rate Dupont over Maxime Loukou. But it'd be interesting to see how they play together, how they're going to work in this international squad, and the fact they've got expertise playing with each other previously, I think will be a big factor in this game. With of course Ireland not having Johnny Sexton to have that veteran sort of eye to catch what these two might be up to. In the centre partnership, Jonathan Darnty going in alongside of Gaël Ficou, absolutely what we'd expect. This is a the big centre pack that we love to see. Jonathan Darnty making such an impact when he comes back in. Mo Farner, has been in and out of playing in that centre position. Jonathan Darnty for me is your guy you want in that inside centre. Such a phenomenal player, not just in carrying the ball, but jackals, turnovers, what do you love to see from a centre? Big man like Jonathan Darnty getting over the ball, really hard to shift, and we know how much the breakdown will be a critical area against Ireland. Ireland love the breakdown, they love getting involved, so it'll be interesting to see how he copes with that situation. And then in the back three, Mo Farner goes on the left wing, Damien Penaud on the right wing, and Thomas Ramos goes in the fullback position. Now, Mo Farner, left wing. Biel Biarri is on the bench, and I haven't seen this lad have a bad game. I haven't seen him, for me, even underperform. I think he's had good games the entire time. Mo Farner starting on the 11 wing. I don't know for me. I would be looking at this lad down here. I think I would be having Biel Biarri on that left wing, have Mo Farner on the bench to come on either at centre or wing if there's an injury. a lot of pressure maybe to put on him. I think that might be an area Ireland are going to want to look into that wing. But of course, they've got no Mac Hansen going into this one either, so that might be a wing that both sides maybe struggle a little bit and might be the target side for both teams. In terms of the replacements, quickly then, Julian Marchand goes in alongside of Wardy and Aldegheri, which is still a solid replacement front row to come on in that second half. Taufik Vanua, Cameron Vauquy, and Paul Boudouin coming on. So the 6-2 split coming in for France. Something I expected to see when we did those team announcements coming out from France. I was sort of like, you know what, I can see this team leaning towards maybe doing a few more of the 6-2 across this one. So going up against Ireland, France have a big power game. Why not chuck on a 6-2 and just back your own power in? And it'll probably force Ireland to want to play a bit more open and a little bit more loose, which is something also France love as well with some of their back. So I think this is a good move. I think going for the 6-2 split is the right move. And then in terms of those replacements back, Le Garec goes in alongside of Biel Biarri as mentioned before. So big task out of these French boys. Still missing a couple of people from this squad that I think would have been a really big boost for this game, especially with just getting through a bit of the Irish defence. But they're at home. They've got the advantage. Sean Edwards' defence as well is going to be holding this French team together. Really looking forward to see how they get on. In terms of Ireland then, Ireland coming into this one, I honestly thought was going to come with a bigger team. They've had a couple of knocks along the way and a couple of things shifting up. Now, this is not the team I was expecting to see, to be honest. They've made a couple of changes. Of course, you've got a few staples in here, but we'll have a run through and talk about them as we come along. So starting off with that front row, Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Tadhg Furlong. Yes, this is the front row I wanted to be seeing from Ireland. This, for me, is the best Irish front row there is. I think actually Finlay Bealham's been improving over the course of the last year or so. I think he's actually sort of getting in competition for that. I still think this is probably at the minute still the best front row for me, especially having Dan Sheehan at hooker. Just seems to be head and shoulders above the rest of the hookers for me in the Ireland squad. So I was glad to see him in there. In the lock department, Joe McCarthy going in alongside of Tadhg Beirne. Now James Ryan is on the bench. I thought James Ryan might be starting alongside Tadhg Beirne here, but big move for Joe McCarthy to get in, try and disrupt that line out. They've had some switching up. The French team, no Cameron Vauquy starting, no Thibaut Flamand starting, which is what we got to see last year. Could be the opportunity for Ireland to really get involved and try and mess up their line out a bit. Ireland have struggled with the line out over the last year. We saw it in the World Cup. We saw it especially in that game versus South Africa, and it just could not get going. Ireland, I still believe, have one of the best line out setups in the world, but it's sort of like when it rains, it pours for that team and begins to go very wrong. So they just got to land that set piece and put France under big pressure. Just remove that platform from them and be able to press on themselves. And then in the back row, Peter O'Mahony goes in alongside Josh van der Fleer and Caelan Doris in that number 8 shirt. This is what we expect, right? This is the Irish contingency back row. Monster back row for them. Peter O'Mahony taking over captain now, of course, with no Sexton in. 1 through 8 looking really solid. The only one that's, maybe you could argue a bit of a weak link in that chain was probably going to be Joe McCarthy coming in as opposed to someone like James Ryan with a bit more experience. But looking forward to see how the young lad gets on. In the halfback partnership, Jameson Gibson Park goes in alongside of Jack Crowley. Now, there was a lot of disputes. I saw in a lot of different comment sections, a couple of other people's videos I was checking out about who was going to take over the starting fly half position for this Ireland team. A couple of people said Frawley, a couple of people said Crowley. I was in the Crowley section. I was thinking that, I think he's been playing well over at club level, and I think he'll be able to bring that into the international jersey. You want someone who's going to slot him to position and just play a really solid game as a fly half, whether he's going to be used as a distributor and just sort of organise his own team, or whether he's going to be looking to be an attacking threat himself. Wait to see for me in terms of this Irish squad, but I'm glad he's got in. He's got, a solid head on his shoulders, so we'll see how he gets on. Big pressure, against France for that opening game, but looking forward to see. Centre partnership, Bundy Aki going in alongside of Robbie Henshaw. Ringrose has apparently picked up a bit of a knock, bit of an injury, and not in this squad, so that is a big blow to that centre partnership. Robbie Henshaw's still a solid centre. And coming in there, we've seen him play, can play 12 or 13, probably equally well, to be fair. But going up against the French centres, Jonathan Dante, Galficou, that is the top tier for them. I think from an Ireland perspective, it would be Aki and Ringrose. So Henshaw might have his work cut out for him. I can see them maybe want to target him more than Bundy Aki, but I still think he's a solid player, should do pretty well. And then in the back three, James Lowe, Calvin Nash, and Hugo Keenan getting in there. Now, Jordan Lama was in this team, and I really expected Jordan Lama to maybe slot in on that right wing because, of course, no Mac Hansen. Calvin Nash getting the nod. Really looking forward to see this competition go up. Mo Farah versus Calvin Nash. It's going to be an area I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. We know what James Lowe brings. James Lowe versus Damien Penaud. They've met plenty of times in the past. They're going to have a good old confrontation. Hugo Keane in that fullback position as well. Still probably the best fullback for me in the world at the minute. But Calvin Ash going to be a wing. I'm going to be keeping a bit of a special eye out for on this one. And then quickly in terms of the replacements, Ronan Kelleher, Cian Healy, and Finlay Bealham. That's a really good front row to be coming on in that second half. Out of the two replacement front rows, I'm leaning more towards this Irish front row. To be able to have slightly more impact than the French one. But, they've still got people like Julien Marchand coming in there. So, solid head to come on from that French team as well. And then joining them in the replacement forwards, James Ryan, Ryan Baird, and Jack Conan. Ireland gone for the 6-2 as well. It's going to be a forwards game. No one's going to be, running the ball out wide. Let's just power your way through who's got the best amount of power. In terms of the forwards, who do I sort of lean towards this one? I think in terms of your benched forwards, James Ryan, Jack Conan, they offer a good impact there. Taufifanu and Cameron Woki. I think I'm slightly leaning towards Ireland to have the stronger forward pack coming on from the bench. That's just my opinion. You can disagree with me absolutely down in the comment section. But yeah, I can see that they're both obviously going to be targeting the same areas. They both know what they want to bring. I actually think there's going to be different target areas for different teams, but we'll get into that in a second. And then the replacement backs is going to be Conor Murray and Kieran Frawley, who has an absolute cannon of a leg on him, Kieran Frawley. So looking forward to see him get on in that second half. Maybe some late minute penalties or even just to kick it to touch, because this lad can kick like 50, 60 meters out of his hand. Penalties, can get right in that 5-meter channel with long range kicks. So looking forward to see him. So some action areas to go over then. So they've both gone for the 6-2. I'm expecting this to be a bit of a forward based game. They're going to be carrying hard at each other. They're going to be trying to take on some of those set piece areas. The line out situation, I think it's going to be pretty equal. I mean, Joe McCarthy being there as opposed to someone like James Ryan throws that off for me, but then no Thibaut Flamand going in for that French team again. Maybe they're kind of even going into that one. Scrum time's going to be important. We know France have big power players when it comes to the scrum. Ireland have brought a relatively similar team to what we got to see play South Africa in the World Cup, and they, of course, were going for that power game. They brought the 7-1 forwards on in that game. And pretty much the same players, were able to hold out against that. So I think that's going to be a really good battle to see at the scrum time. And I think the big area is going to be that breakdown, because both teams love a quick recycle ball, but being able to get turnovers. Both these teams have big jackal players. It's going to be a huge fixture, though. We need to talk about the score prediction for this game. My goodness, what do we think in terms of a score prediction? Both these teams, like I said, missing key players, but still loading up pretty heavy. Still got some big hitters. Some of those action areas are going to be tough. I think the centre area, I think I'm leaning towards France. The back setup, might be leaning more towards France, to be fair. I'm a little bit, shaky on how Calvin Ash is going to hold up in this squad. The forward pack, though, I'm leaning more towards Ireland, and they've gone for that 6-2. Both teams going for the 6-2. I think it's going to be a power game. I think we're looking at penalties. I think we're looking at driving mauls. I think we're looking at all that sort of stuff for this game. I'm not expecting this one to be a 20, points game anywhere out there. I'm expecting low points, maybe just into the sort of double figures a little bit, chipping away at those 3 points. Make sure you secure the win. All important for me. I'm going to lean towards Ireland for my score prediction for this one. I'm going to say Ireland by 3, but that's going to be my prediction, guys. Make sure you drop your predictions and your thoughts on the teams down in the comment section, because I really enjoy having a read through them. Of course, we're going to be doing one of these videos for all of the games across the 6 nations, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the latest videos, because we've also got 2 really fun games going on this weekend as well. But I'm sure this is probably the one on most people's watch list for this 6 nations especially. Huge game to get us kicked off. Cannot wait for it, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.